Okay, we'll start today's session. In previous class, we discussed about decision making in designing. In Unit 4, we are discussing about eliminating the unworkable designs or solutions and considering one solution for further development. Okay, so in this unit, we are going to eliminate the design options and we are going to select one optimal design for further development. So during this you have to choose one best design among the designs you have done for a particular application or for a given condition. So in previous class we discussed about some of the aspects related to decision making in design. Okay, so we are going to consider physical realizability of a design concept. And again, at times the engineers or designers must be ready to take risk. Okay, then. So these are some of the a few more aspects based on which you are going to make a decision. That is reliability, ease in use, maintainability, adaptability are the relevant attributes of performance rating. That means while selecting best design among available options, so you are going to make decision. These are some of the criteria. So you are going to evaluate physical realizability and also performance, okay, or the efficiency of the product that you are going to so get with the help of a design. Okay, so in order to evaluate performance, so these are the various criteria used: reliability, ease in use, maintainability, adaptability. Already we have discussed about ease in use, maintainability and adaptability in previous unit when we discussed about design for use, design for maintainability. Okay, we discussed. What do you mean by reliability? What do you mean by reliability?
Durable.
Durable. Okay, so we can consider reliability as probability of occurrence after its useful life. Okay, if you want to evaluate reliability of any product, it is the probability of occurrence after its useful life. Suppose a company say you can use this product for 5 years. Okay, and if the product even lasts more than 5 years, then it is a reliable one. Okay, if a product fails before the assured life, then that will become unreliable. Okay, suppose if the manufacturer of a tube light say okay, you can use this tube light for 1 year, and if the tube light fails before 1 year, then that will become unreliable. Okay, so we measure reliability as the probability of survival after its useful life. That useful life will be defined by the companies, or as based on our experience. Okay, at times we have a perception. Okay, if you buy this product, minimum it should work for a particular time. Okay, like that we will expect, we have expectation. Okay, that is reliability. Then if you consider ease in use, okay, so again it should be user friendly. Now, okay, so you can consider an example. So, in order to type this text, okay, to prepare a PPT, usually earlier what we used to do, we used to so do typing. So now, what are the options available to instead of typing? What we can do? If you have text,
Voice recording.
okay, you can go for voice recording. Okay, which is user friendly, voice recording or typing?
Voice recording only.
Voice recording. Why? What is the reason? Why voice recording is useful or user friendly?
Less time consumable.
So it will consume less time. Okay, that is one thing. What are the other benefits of uh, converting okay, so speech or voice into text? What are the advantages you can gain as a designer of products or services?
Spelling mistakes can be avoided.
Again, it depends on the optimality or efficiency of the algorithm written. Okay, if it is fully efficient, okay, with very few errors, then spelling mistake can be avoided. Even though if you don't know spellings of most of the words, if you pronounce that properly, okay, you can convert that into text. Okay, what are the other benefits other than that? So this technology, that means converting voice into text, in coming days it will result in a lot of developments in various fields. Okay, now if you go to ATM, what you are going to do? You are going to enter values on the keypad, okay, of the ATM. So in future, so it may be based on only the voice. Okay, if you say if you read your number, okay, so or if you read your ATM pin, okay, it may get unlocked. And if you again with the help of speech command, voice command, okay, you can say I want to take this much amount, okay, amount, then you can say 10,000. So then you may be able to withdraw it. With the help of this, what benefits consumers can gain, or consumers of a service or product can achieve with the help of this technology? Okay, so consider an illiterate, okay, so who don't know how to read Kannada, okay, you know how to speak in Kannada language, but you don't know how to read or how to write. So for him, which is better? So operating system or, okay, so text or typing based operating system, which is better?
Voice based.
Voice based.
Voice based. Okay, even you may have realized, okay, so even some find it very difficult to use Android mobile phones, touch screen. Okay, so even still many prefer to use keypad because so they don't know. Okay, so they are not able to read English. Okay, so for them it is difficult to use Android based mobile phones. Suppose instead of that, if they can, okay, operate these mobile phones by giving voice commands, okay, then they find it very easy. Okay, even this speech or voice to text is available in Kannada and regional languages also. In coming days, this will create a lot of changes in most of the service sectors and most of the even products also. Okay, so if you consider ease in use, okay, so now when there is rapid change in technology, if you think you can achieve ease in use by redesigning the keyboard, okay, so when people are thinking about voice to text, okay, if you are thinking only about how I can rearrange the keys in the keyboard and I can make it user friendly, okay, when the technology is rapidly changing, then okay, then your problem will be, your product or your service will become outdated. Okay, so that also you should keep in mind, the upcoming technology or the present technology. Okay, so reliability is in use. Next, in addition to these, all the standards of performance arrived at in the need analysis stage can be used as attributes for rating purposes. Okay, that is standard of performance constraints. Okay, by considering that also you have to reduce the solutions into one best one. Okay, one best. Next, physical realizability. This is one of the criteria for eliminating the unworkable or not feasible designs. Physical realizability of a design concept can be measured in terms of the confidence the designer has in transforming the abstract concept into physical form. A designer has to look into the future and he should anticipate the possible problems he might encounter in the realization of the design concept and think of ways to overcome them. Okay, there is a spelling mistake. This should be HAS. Okay. Designer has to look into the future. So as we discussed in the previous case, so now the technology is changing. So now in future it may be many services or many electronic instruments or devices, okay, may work based on voice commands. Then you must anticipate the technology and you must choose a design which will accommodate that upgradation in technology. Okay, a designer has to look into the future and he should anticipate the possible problems he might encounter in the realization of the design concept and think of ways to overcome them. These sub-solutions in their turn throw up further problems. Okay, when you consider any design problem, or if you consider any product, a product can be break down into number of components or number of sub-assemblies. Okay, they are nothing but they are the sub-problems. Okay, and again when you think about solving those sub-problems, you may get a number of options. And again, if you go on evaluating each possible option or each possible solution, again you may get few more problems related to those sub-solutions. Okay, so like that, these problems and solutions, they will form an hierarchy. Okay, so these sub-solutions in the turn throw up further problems. A designer thus breaks up the design concept into a hierarchy of problems and sub-solutions. Okay, you will understand it when you look at the design tree and based on a morphological table. Okay, you can understand it in a better. Designer can only see through a few levels, but the last level of sub-problems that he can visualize in this manner offers him a considerably better chance of making a realizability estimate than did the original problem. That means if you go on dividing a design concept into number of sub-problems, then again finding solutions to those sub-problems, again those solutions may once again results in few more problems. So like that, if a designer go on dividing a problem into sub-problems and solutions, again solutions may throw up further problems. Further, for those problems, again there may be some solutions. Like that, if we go on dividing a problem into fragments, and if we go on evaluating them in detail, okay, you will have better understanding of the design. Okay, so that is the meaning. And if he is having better understanding of the overall design, then he can make better estimate related to its realizability, that is its physical realizability. In evaluating the realizability of a design concept, we examine the solvability of the subproblems which need solving for evolving a successful design. This is best accomplished by drawing the tree structure of the design, also known as design tree. Okay, so this is the concept of design tree. Okay, if you have a design concept, okay, this is the design concept. It may be related to a product like kerosene stove or like a pen, okay, or like a garden chair. Okay, those are some of the problems related to design concept. If the problem is kerosene stove, okay, so we have to design a stove which is going to operate by making use of kerosene as fuel. Okay. Next, you can divide any design concepts into number of components or number of sub-problems. Okay, in case of kerosene stove, the design concept was divided into how many sub-problems? So in previous chapters, we discussed about morphological table of kerosene stove. Okay, kerosene stove design problem was divided into how many sub-problems?
4.
4. Okay. So next, for each sub-problem, there are few solutions. Okay, similarly, for Q1 there may be 2, for Q2 there may be 3, for Q3 there may be one possible solution. Okay, this is just an example. It need not be like this always. Okay, what you should know is a design concept will be break down into number of components or number of sub-assemblies or number of sub-problems. It may be 3 or it may be 4, 5. It depends on the design concept. Okay, so this is one typical example. Okay, so it will vary. The number of sub-problems may vary depending on the complexity of the design concept. Okay, next for Q1, solutions may be 2, 3, 4. But in this case, for this illustration, okay, if Q1 we can achieve in 2 ways. That means there are 2 possibilities for the subproblem Q1, 3 possibilities for Q2, and only 1 possibility to achieve or to solve Q3. So these are the solutions. So next, in order to in order to become design concept successful, or in order to realize the design concept, is it necessary to solve all the 3 subproblems, or if you are able to solve only one, does that result in getting the solution for the problem? So is it required to solve all the 3, or if you solve any one, that is sufficient?
Only 3.
Okay, so you need to solve all the 3. Since if you consider kerosene stove problem, it is divided into 4 sub-problems. You have to solve all 4. If you are not able to solve any one among 4, then you cannot realize it. Okay, so the product may not work properly. Okay, next, consider solutions. If there are 2 solutions for Q1, is it necessary to solve all 2, or choosing one is sufficient?
One is sufficient.
Okay, so choosing one is sufficient. Here also you can choose 1 among 3. Here there is 1 and you have to solve this one. Okay, so that is the difference between sub-problems and solutions. Okay, when you have options, you can choose among the options. Okay, when you break a problem into sub-problems, you have to solve all. Okay, next, this solution, okay, again may result in few more problems. Okay, if you consider, suppose you have chosen a material. Okay, the availability of the material may be a problem. Then the property of the material may be a problem. Okay, like that, the solutions may throw up further problems. If that is the case, then you have to consider those problems also. Okay, so this level of problems is thrown by the solutions itself. Okay, so this is the design tree. So again, if you can understand it in a better way by considering kerosene stove, morphological table of kerosene stove. Okay, so here design concept is kerosene stove, design problem is kerosene stove, design concept D, in this case it is kerosene stove, design of kerosene stove. So it is breakdown into how many sub problems? 4: reservoir, fuel supply, control, and burner. In order to get a stove, okay, which you can use for cooking, you have to solve all the 4 sub problems. That means the stove should have reservoir, and fuel must be supplied from reservoir to the burner. Okay, and again you have to control the fuel supply. If any one among these 4 is not solved, then you cannot get the workable stove. Okay, or a stove which you can use. Okay, you cannot get that. So now that means you have to solve all the 4 sub problems. Next, for reservoir, you have 2 options. You have to choose one among these 2. Okay, that is sufficient. So again, for fuel supply, you have to choose one among 4. For control, again, you have to choose one among 4. For burner, you have to choose one among 3. So this is the this level. Okay, so here you are making a choice. Okay, if one is sufficient for a particular sub problem. Okay. Next, so if you consider in control adjusting air pressure. Okay, this is the solution for controlling. But again, it may throws few more problems. The problem may be the availability of the compressor or the availability of a mechanism to adjust air pressure, okay, or the material required to fabricate that component required to adjust air pressure. That may be a further problem. Okay, so like that, solutions also have some few more problems. Okay. If you consider design problem as pen, that is liquid ink instrument. In this case, design problem is breakdown into 3 sub problems: ink reservoir, filling mechanism, and writing pointing transfer. Okay, ink reservoir has 3 solutions. Okay, for filling mechanism 4, for writing pointing transfer 3. So you have to choose one among these solutions. Okay. Again, these solutions may throw further problems. Okay, if you consider rigid tube, again, the material of the rigid tube, okay, whether that is disposable or whether that is eco-friendly. So there may be further problems related to this solution. Like that, most of the solutions may have its own problems.
ಸರ್ ಬೈಕಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ? ಬೈಕಿಗ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಬೈಕಿಗೆ
again, it may be whether it is IC engine or driving mechanism you can consider, or fuel. Okay, it may be based on petroleum based fuel, or it may be electric based. That is one sub problem. Okay, next, whether it should have gear system or not. Okay, whether it should be, so auto, whether it should start in auto start or not. Okay, like that you can have, or it may be seating capacity, only one rider or 2, 3. It may be its capacity, how many cc, whether it should be 110, 250, 350. Okay, like that you can go on dividing that. Okay, and again, so you may also consider mileage. Okay, so adra you can divide. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಬರೀ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಲೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಎಂಜಿನ್, ದೆನ್ ಅಸೆಸರೀಸ್. ಓಕೆ,
ಬ್ರೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಸರ್.
ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್.
Okay sir, okay.
So next, in SolidWorks, you have already designed components and then you did assembly using SolidWorks. Okay, in 5th semester. In SolidWorks also you can see in the application of design tree. Okay, on the left hand side you can see this window. When you go on creating a model by using various sketch and feature commands. Okay, on the left hand side you can see the structure, and if you click on any of these things you will get further details. Okay, this is also one of the application of design tree. Okay, so you can see a future command. Okay, if you click on that you will get few more details. Okay, the details of sketch and further options you used to create or to get that particular feature. Okay, this is one such example of application of design tree in modeling. Okay, next, design tree. So we have to solve a few numericals related to design tree. That means in order to do estimation related to physical realizability. Okay, so how much confidence a designer can have by having a mathematical calculation. Okay, so you have to calculate physical realizability of a design concept based on your understanding of the design problem. Okay, for that you are going to make use of design tree concept. Okay, so in this case a problem, that is design concept D, is divided into 3 subproblems, and for subproblem Q1 there are 2 solutions. For subproblem Q2 there are 3 solutions, and subproblem Q3 there is 1 solution. Again, the solution D11 results in two more problems. Okay, Q111 and Q112. Next, solution D12 result in another subproblem Q121. Okay. So this is the explanation related to this design tree. The design concept D offers three subproblems Q1, Q2, Q3. A number of solutions may be proposed for each of these like this. D11 and D12 are possible solutions of Q1. So Q1 is the subproblem. There are two solutions for this D11 and D12. Next, D21, D22 and D23 are possible solutions of Q2. Okay, this is the Q2. There are three possible solutions for Q2, D21, D23. Next, D31 is a possible solution of Q3. This is the Q3 and D31 is the solution for this. Next, each of these solutions depend on the successful solution of further subproblems. That means some solutions will result in further few more problems. Okay, so that you can see here. So the solution D11 so will throw two more problems, that is Q111 and Q112. Okay, Q111 and Q112 are subproblems of for D11. Q121 is the subproblem for D12. Okay, this is the description of this design tree. So next, in order to find out physical realizability of a design concept, okay, so we are going to make use of probability rules. Okay, multiplication rule and addition rule. Okay, in multiplication rule, there are two possibilities. Okay, so dependent events and independent events. Okay, we know when you divide a problem into number of components, okay, or number of subproblems. Some of these subproblems are mutually dependent and some of these subproblems are mutually independent. Okay, so again, there may be dependent subproblems, there may be independent subproblems. Okay. You are going to make use of these rules. Okay, multiplication rule. If the events are dependent, then probability of A and B will be equal to P of A by B into P of B. This is for the case where A is dependent on B. Okay, event A is dependent on B. That means if B is solved, then only it is possible to solve A. That is the condition. Okay. Suppose if B is dependent on A, then you have to write like this: P of B by A into P of A. So this is for A is dependent on B. Okay, so this is A is dependent on B. Next, if B is dependent on A, so P of B by A into P of A. So if A and B, if two subproblems, okay, are independent, then you can write it as P of A and B is equal to P of A into P of B. Next, there is addition rule. This is used when you have to choose one solution among the available. Okay, if only one need to be selected or one need to be solved among available options, then you go for using addition rule, P of A or B. Okay, so that is equal to P of A plus P of B minus P of A and B. Okay, so in order to solve problems related to physical realizability, we make use of these rules of probability. Okay, now we are going to discuss by considering the same design tree. The realizability of design concept D depends on the simultaneous solution of the first level subproblems. That means you have to solve Q1, Q2 and Q3 to solve or to get the workable solution for the design concept. You have to solve all the three. So if you have to solve all the three, which rule should be applied, whether multiplication rule or addition rule? Okay, here. So to successfully complete or to successfully convert a design concept D into its physical form, you have to solve all the three, Q1, Q2 and Q3. You have to solve all the three. So for this case, you are going to make use of multiplication rule. Okay. Suppose only one need to be solved among three, then you are going to make use of addition rule. Or, so that means R andre A ಅಥವಾ B ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ you use addition rule. ಎಲ್ಲದನ್ನು ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ you use multiplication rule. Okay. So in this case, so you need to solve Q1, Q2, Q3. So here you have to apply multiplication rule. For the solutions, you can use addition rule, that is R, D11, D11 or D12. So here it should be Q1 and Q2 and Q3. Okay. PD represents probability of design concept D. PD represents the probability of the physical realization of the concept D, and PQ1, PQ2 and Q3 represent the probability that the subproblems are resolved successfully. If a number of subproblems are independent, then P of D is equal to P of Q1 and Q2 and Q3. Since you have to solve all the three, you should use multiplication rule. Okay, if all the three are independent, then P of Q1 into P of Q2 into P of Q3. This is the equation. If a number of subsolutions, subproblems are dependent, again in case of dependent, there must be a condition, okay, which is dependent on which subproblem. Okay, that should be specified, or that designer should know. Okay, for example, if Q2 is dependent on Q1 and Q3 is independent of Q1 and Q2, then so this equation will become P of D is equal to, again Q2 is dependent on Q1 here. Okay, so this you have to go back to this rule. Okay, so for dependent events, P of A and B is equal to P of A by B, P of B. This is for A dependent on B. Okay, this is for B dependent on A.
Sir, voice break ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ.
ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ. Okay, next for dependent subproblems. Okay, so that dependency must be defined. In case of numerical problems, okay, so the dependency will be defined in the problem itself. Suppose if you are designing for a new problem or your own problem, then as a designer you should know mutual dependency of these subproblems. Okay, for example, in that case, okay, if a number of subproblems are dependent, that is Q2 is dependent on Q1 and Q3 is independent of Q1 and Q2. So this is independent one, whereas these two are dependent, and here Q2 is dependent on Q1. Okay, so that's why, so instead of writing PQ1 into PQ2, you are writing it as PQ2 by Q1 into PQ1. The reason is Q2 is dependent on Q1. Okay, then since it is independent one, directly you are multiplying it with this, okay, into PQ3. So where PQ1 and Q2, since they are dependent, so this is the equation for PQ1 and Q2, so that you have substituted here. Okay, where PQ2 by Q1 is the conditional probability of solving Q2 given that Q1 is solved. Okay, next to find the, okay, so do you have any doubt regarding this? Irrelevant doubt idya? So these are the equations written using multiplication and addition rule of probability. that I shown in the previous slide. Okay, to find the probability of solving a subproblem, we examine the solution suggested for it. For Q1, so if you can, so for subproblems, you have to solve all the three, Q1, Q2 and Q3. That's why you make use of multiplication rule for solving subproblems. Whereas for solutions, you have to make use of which rule? You have to make use of addition rule, that is R. Okay. To find the probability of solving a subproblem, we examine the solution suggested for it. For Q1, two solutions are proposed, but only one of the alternative designs D1, D11 and D12 needs to be realized to solve Q1. So there are two solutions, you have to choose only one. Okay, if one solution you are able to realize, then that will result in solvability of Q1. In that case, so you can go for, if you want to find probability of physically realizing the subproblem Q1, then it depends on these two, okay, D11 or D12, because if you are able to physically realizable only one solution among these two, you can physically realize Q1. That's why it is probability of D11 or D12. Then again apply the rule. So then P of D11 or D12 can be written as P of D11 plus P of D12 minus P of D11 and D12. Since again here it is P of D11 and D12, in order to get value for this, you should know whether this D11 and D12 they are dependent or independent. That you should know. D11 and D12 are independent. Then so P of D11 and D12 will be equal to P of D11 into P12. Okay, so these are the values. These are the physical realizability estimates for these solutions. Okay, these values will be given in the problem. Based on that, you are going to find the overall probability of physical realizability. Okay, so you have to find physical realizability of the overall design concept. In the problem, they will specify the physical realizability of subsolutions and subproblems and solutions. They will specify, they will give in the problem itself. You have to find out the overall physical realizability of the design concept. Okay, otherwise conditional probability has to be used. If these two are not independent, then you have to use conditional probability. Okay, if it is possible to estimate probability of events, then we can calculate index of physical realizability of the concept D. So if you know the values for these subproblems and these solutions, you can find physical realizability of overall design concept. Okay, there is a problem related to this design tree. I will solve in next class. Okay. If you have anything to ask, you can. Otherwise, I will wind up this class.